where there's life. Now tonight I want to talk about what happens to families when a teenager comes home and says, I'm a homosexual. If it happened in your family, how would you deal with it? Well, when I was in Australia, I met some homosexual teenagers who were about to enter an adult life that was very different from what their parents had expected. It's Saturday night in Sydney and time for a quick costume check before the 9th annual Gay Mardi Gras begins.
You didn't bring any wigs, did you?
Yeah, I've got one.
Oh, great.
We can share it.
Before the night is over, the creative efforts and fantastic costumes of the city's homosexual community will have been seen and admired by 50,000 people. Tomorrow they'll return to the problems of daily life, but tonight at least, they're in charge and gay means glamorous.
You're an ostrich, not a goose.
It's a night of fun as they take over the streets of the city, and the flamboyance of carnival gives the gays a chance to show off their outrageous streak. Work on the dazzling carnival costumes and floats has been going on for months here at the Mardi Gras workshop.
The whole concept of the costume is called perpetual motion.
Teams of volunteers put together a display of imagination and energy in a public exhibition of their homosexuality. And there are a lot of homosexuals here. Like San Francisco for the Americans, Sydney is the place to live for gays in Australia.
The thing is to get the seams in exactly the same place, though. Can you pull a little bit harder? Just that. How's the down? Yeah, the coming back, okay?
Upstairs from the main Mardi Gras workshop is a special area set aside for preparations by this band of teenagers. They're all members of the Sydney Gay Youth Group. It's a new organisation open to teenage boys and girls who decide they're gay. Tomorrow they'll be taking part in the annual carnival for the first time. It means a public affirmation of homosexuality by young people who may still be legally below the age of consent, which is 18 here for gay males. So what does Mardi Gras mean to them? I asked Denny, who's only 15.
There's all these people that are like me, and they've organised something so big and spectacular. And you just feel proud that, you know, all these people that everybody says are so gross can present something like that.
We're not some stupid minority that you can kick into the gutter. And I mean, some straights do actually threaten that they'll be there with their baseball bats and stuff like that. But they won't have much success when they'll be the minority for a change.
How long have you known that you were gay?
Since I was about 13. I've always, roughly since I was 13.
And how old are you now?
17.
Uh-huh. How about you, Shane?
Fairly young.
What does that mean, though?
Before 10.
Really?
Yeah.
And what
8 or so. I never looked at girls, never found any attraction with them.
And how about you, Denny?
I just knew at school I'd been looking at guys instead of girls. And it really frightened me at first, but...
Why did it frighten you?
Because that wasn't the way I was brought up.
How were you brought up?
I was brought up not to think like that, to... just, you know, I was brought up, my parents were very anti-gay. And I was scared my parents would find out, and if they did, then that'd be it. I wouldn't have my parents anymore.
Did you tell your parents?
Yeah,
How old when you did that?
13.
13? That's pretty young.
Yeah.
And what was their reaction?
Well, they kicked me out.
What?
They kicked me out of home.
At 13?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Tell me what they said.
Well, my mother nearly fainted, and they said lots of things over the next year or so.
Tell me some of them.
They said I wasn't normal and I was horrible and depraved, and that nobody they could produce would be like that.
How did that make you feel?
Terrible.
Not all parents react so violently. Luke Payton, still at school, is the newest member of the gay youth group, and he's just told his mum.
Compared to so many other people that kick their kids out or just don't really accept it, Mum really did accept it really well. And like, I went to the Young Gays meeting, and then after that I thought, oh, it's like jumping off a bridge. If you jump soon, it's better than waiting a little bit later. So I sort of told her the night after, I told Mum the night after that I was gay. I couldn't tell her outright, so I told my sister, and she went and ran off and said, Mum, he's gay, just like that.
At 17, Luke's got his exams to swat for and his motorbike to look after. Whether we think he's old enough to make the choice or not, his mother does accept it. Her understanding means he can get on with life as a teenager without the heartache of rejection. But it hasn't been easy for her. Catholic and widowed, Rose Peyton found her son's news a terrible shock.
Well, it was a very, very strange feeling. I just really just couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was right out of the blue, and I'd never had any contact before with anything to do with homosexual people. It was my first experience, and I just thought, oh no, it's not true,
Did you think perhaps he was too young to decide?
I think so. I think there are parents who would think that. I probably think that myself.
In your heart, you mean?
Probably, yes.
What were your hopes for him when he was young?
Well, I don't know. I just hoped when he grew up he'd... we're not allowed to say normal. Lead the life that people expect their children to get married, perhaps have a family.
Is it difficult for you to think of him as having a male partner?
Oh, yes, it is. At this stage it is. So I've only known for a few months. About 3 or 4 months. That's all I've known. So it's difficult to really come to terms with it. And especially, you hear people talking all the time, condemning them and being biased against them and running them down, and you're sitting there and you just feel like screaming out, well, my son's a homosexual, so how do you feel about me,
Do you feel as a woman a little bit rejected by your son?
I do feel a little bit rejected. He was always very close and very affectionate. But I think it's just, he's at the age when he would be, changing from a child to an adult. And, I think it's the same as with my daughter, who now has a boyfriend, and I just feel that, he's taking her away from me too, but I know that I can't stop that. I know, I just know that they've got to have now to lead their own lives. So I think it's the same feeling. The training's finished, you just have to be there to try and support them then.
You? Them? They're number 22.
For Luke and the gay youth group, the carnival represents their debut into a glittering adult world. It's a night for fantasies and an initiation into a new life for boys like Luke.
Before I came out, I didn't have anyone I could talk to about my feelings or anything like that. I wouldn't dream of going back in the closet, as they say. It's much better this way.
They're off and the carnival begins. Though the Bobcats Lesbian Sports Club were there in force, this carnival is essentially a celebration of male homosexuality. And tonight, even the horror of the AIDS virus falls temporary victim to the magic of the carnival. In this fantastical company, Luke and the gay youth group leave their old lives behind.
Before you come out to being gay, you think you're the only one there, and you're really all alone and everything like this. But then to see something upwards of 50,000 people just around you all at once, and they're all cheering, and there's no one negative there or anything like that, it was really, really good. I like that. The people you go with really make you feel at home.
Children growing up and leaving home is always hard for parents to cope with, but if they grow up gay, is it harder for them? Well, tonight we have in the studio some parents and teenagers who've had to face up to that situation in their own family lives. Sheila, how did you react when your son told you he was gay?
I still don't believe it now. I still don't want to believe it. I still hope that, you know, it's just something that he could change. I still love him very much, and I always will. And,
But you still think it's a phase he's going through?
yes.
How long have you known?
Well, about 3 years now, roughly.
And you still think that?
I still think that, yes. I still like to think I really believe that now. That it's just a phrase, you know, and hope that he'll change. And
what do you hope he'll change to?
Well, you know, to be able to have a family, to have a bond of a family and grandchildren.
Is it the sexual side you find very difficult?
Yes, I don't want to believe that. I want to believe that he goes home to this friend, and it's just like a brother, you know, because I want to pretend that to myself. May sound strange, but I just want to.
Thank you very much. Now, you have a gay son, don't you?
This is Philip.
This is Philip, right. How did you find out about how your son was gay?
Philip had been in Germany between school and university, working in a hospital, and he met Ralph there, and because of the letters he wrote home, which were Ralph this, Ralph that, we began to think this is more than a friendship.
You sound as though you didn't want to accept the news. Are you still trying to come to terms with it?
No, I think I have completely come to terms with it now, but that was 8 years ago, and it was hell for 3 years, struggling against what we felt was a denial, a rejection of all the values that we had as a family.
Did you really feel rejected?
I felt very rejected. One of the things that I found most difficult was that I've always been proud of my children, and when we knew that this was happening, I felt this was an area that I didn't want to acknowledge. I couldn't acknowledge to the world. I couldn't say, this is my son whom I worship. And so there was a block. It was all dammed up.
So
my feelings of maternal pride.
Right, you didn't feel free to be proud of your son.
That's right.
Philip, how did you expect your mum to react when you told her the news?
I expected her to react extremely badly. And in fact, she reacted with unconditional acceptance, which was harder in a way for me to cope with.
Because she was making such a big sacrifice?
I felt that if I had had extreme opposition, I would have been able to cope with that more easily.
Did you want your mum to be shocked?
I wanted her to react in some angry way, which I could have opposed with anger, rather than being left in the lurch. The ball was in my court. I had then to decide how I was going to cope with living with my parents and showing them that I was still the same person I was before.
Very wonderful of you, Mum, because she forced you to grow up. If you'd shouted and been angry, it was just like being a kid.
Well, I suppose it would have been. Yeah.
This is your boyfriend, Ralph?
It is, yeah.
And obviously you've been together for 8 years. It's a long time. Isn't that reassuring? That's more, I mean, that's longer than some heterosexual relationships.
And I look round the other heterosexual relationships, and I'm glad that they have a stable, caring, supportive relationship.
Was it hard for you to go through, Ralph?
Very. I had a double battle because at the time I was a minister of religion when I met Philip in Germany. So I had a two-sided battle, one with the church and one with my family, and indeed one with Philip's family too, because it's very important for them when they see the partner, you become the big bad wolf that led their child astray. And so, yes, it was hell. And I think at the same time you fight with yourself too, because all the time you're accepting it and trying to make someone else accept it. And that hurts.
Thank you. Hello, Joyce and Kevin.
How did you accept the news when your son told you?
Said, thank goodness, I thought it was something dreadful that had happened.
Really? Is that what you said?
Yes, yes. Because I sort of thought, well, there must be something. He said, remember what we talked about some time ago? And I thought, well, gosh, there must be something dreadful. What was it? And I determined to be very parental, very motherly, and not be shocked about whatever it was.
Now, how old was your son when he first introduced the subject to you?
At the age of about 13 or 14, we first talked about it.
Did you think that was a bit young to decide that he was gay?
Not particularly, although I thought, well, all children have all sorts of ups and downs during their development. Let's, instead of making any decisions about this, let's just leave it and see what happens. And then when he was about 17, he talked about it again, and that's when I was so relieved to find it wasn't something dreadful that had happened.
I think a lot of parents in this area find the sexual side very difficult.
All parents have difficulties with coming to terms with the fact that their sons and daughters are independent people, and part of their developing a sexuality is part of the developing independence. Yes, that can be a problem. But
is it the same, do you think, as the lady said in the film? Well, it's just like my daughter and her boyfriend. She's growing away from me as well. That's how...
Yes, yes.
Is that how you see it?
Certainly. Yes, I don't see any difference whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. How did you tell your mum?
I think I was about 16 at the time. I just started going out with the first guy I'd ever met. I was coming towards the end of grammar school then. And I don't like being dishonest. It's as basic as that. I think if you haven't come out about being gay, you're being a fraud, you're living a lie, and it's not worth it, and that's what I felt. So I had to screw up a bit of courage, though, because, I mean, like most people, I've been brought up in a world that tells you it's not very nice, and other people are going to freak out. So I was waiting for that reaction a little bit, but I didn't get it. As she said, she just said, fine. That's all
Did
there
you feel
was to it.
cheated? Like Philip did?
Yeah, I think you're doing a little bit, you know.
You're ready to rant and rage, are you?
Yes, and earlier on, you almost implied that was slightly childish, and it isn't. It's something, those reactions, the hostile reactions you're entitled to feel angry about. I feel violent about them, not just a little ranting or raving. I feel bloody angry, and that's a realistic, human, mature emotion. And maybe I'd have liked it to have been a little upset, because it would have given me something tangible to channel all that fear and upset that society had generated in me.
Do you think that you, in a way, deserved your son by not giving him that outlet to let off his steam against society?
In retrospect, yes, yes. But of course, that's come with my further experience of not only my own son, but other gay youngsters, and the realisation of how very, very deeply the anger runs in most gay people about the way they've been treated.
Now, what do you think it would have done to you if your parents hadn't accepted you?
I think it could have quite easily ruined the whole of my life.
What do you think of your mum's attitude?
That's a difficult question. I haven't really thought about it. This might sound bolshy, but I'm not grateful. It's what I expect. As a human being, it's what I demand from everybody, acceptance. But as a person, I'm very proud of my mother. She can stand up for what she believes in, and she does something about it. That takes a lot of guts.
Thank you. Now, Francis, can I talk to you and your son, Stephen? Right? Stephen, can I ask you first, how old were you when you first felt that you might be gay?
Well, I didn't actually call it that. I didn't even think it was a sexual thing. At 9, I thought I was in some way...
At 9?
At 9, I thought I was in some way different. Now, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't relate to people my own age quite the way that other people did, especially boys my own age. And I only began to put a word to that when I began to feel more physical feelings.
How old
and more
were you then?
emotional feelings. I suppose I was probably about 11 or 12 when I began to feel the very start of these feelings. And then that developed. And as it developed, I began to realise that this was called homosexuality, or it was called being queer, or a freak, things like that. And that's what they called it at school. And it was when I was about 14 that I actually began to label myself, that I knew I was gay. But I didn't actually properly talk to my mother and say, I know I am gay, until I was about 16.
Did you think were you rather afraid because you were so young having these feelings?
Partially, yes. I was afraid that my mother would say, no, that you're too young to know that.
Well, I did sort of, didn't I?
What did you say?
Well, I first found Stephen crying in bed when he was about 9 years old, and I thought perhaps he'd had a nightmare. So I went upstairs and spoke to him and comforted him, and he said that he thought that he liked boys more than he liked girls. And I didn't know anything about homosexuality either. And I really did think probably it was just a crush, and I said to him, well, I expect it is just a crush, Stephen. I think boys do this and girls do this. I remember having had crushes on smashing teachers at school, women teachers. And I spoke a little bit with my husband about it, but he really didn't want to know. But I kept thinking about it, and I began to sense that Stephen was still upset.
Did you actually say to him, you're too young to know this, you can't know this?
No, I didn't think he was too young to know it.
Your mother was extremely understanding. What about your father?
He wrote to me once from the States, because he lives there now, saying that a man, and this is a quote, a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, cannot have babies. And that the only reason for sex is to procreate, to produce babies.
In the end, though, or in the beginning, sex is about procreation, isn't it?
No, not necessarily. I mean,
sorry. In a biological sense, we have sex in order to keep the race going.
Well,
that's true.
Partially so, but it's also about releasing tension and emotion in yourself. That's part of sex too, and it's a very large part of sex, and we all know, or at least those of us who are not virgins will know. Of course, being under 21, I am a virgin. We all know that that actually releases tension, that produces wonderful feelings in ourselves. So that's a biological function, and that's a very wonderful biological function.
Okay, thank you. Eve, how did you discover that your daughter Linda was a lesbian?
Well, it was rather strange, really, because I was having a housewarming party, and I sent her an invitation for her plus friend, and she turned up with her then lover, you see. So we
Who was a girl?
Yes, and then we vanished upstairs, you know, and she sort of said, Mum, I'm gay. And I sort of looked at her and I said, well, I thought you might be. And then we sort of just got talking, and I asked so many questions, I think I embarrassed them both. Because I knew that here was my daughter, I was not going to give her up for anybody. She was my child, I loved her, so I had to adapt, see. That's how I thought of it.
Do you feel a sense of loss or bereavement, as some parents say they do?
No, I feel as though I've gained something, because I saw my daughter very, very lost when she was younger. She never seemed to, she always seemed to aim at her books, and she had lots of friends, but she was still a loner. So, no, I think I've gained an awful lot. I mean, I can cuddle my daughter and kiss her now, whereas before she used to shy away from me and sort of everybody, wasn't it? You know, you just didn't seem to...
Yeah, I think in a way we've become a lot closer, because what happens when you're a lesbian or a gay man and you don't come out to your parents is that there's a whole area of your life that your parents don't have any part of. And that's really sad, because you like your parents to meet your friends, you like your parents to meet your lovers, and you like them to be part of your sort of extended family. And it's the same with the whole family. It's really nice that, you know, my brother used to... It was slightly different because I'd actually been working in gay organisations before I came out to my mum, and she knew about them. So I think she knew, really. I mean, the fact I was working for 2 organisations called Gay Something must have given a slight hint.
There's a clue.
Just a bit, yeah. And Stuart, I think, knew before Mum did, because he used to come and see me, and he'd sort of help out in the shop where I was working and things. And I think... Oh, sorry. Oops, because it was a gay shop.
Do you have a good relationship now, the two of you?
Yeah.
It has improved slightly, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, we tend to see each other more now than we did before, because when I was... Obviously, I was living in a way that meant that I couldn't always have my parents around. I couldn't see them, and I couldn't see my brother very much. And it's much better when you're open about it, because otherwise you just lose that whole side of your life, and that's really sad. And I think it's made us a much closer family.
Thank you. Elma, when do you think you will know in your heart that you've actually come to terms with having Philip as a homosexual son?
I think when I can walk down the street of our village, a small community, with them both, and introduce Ralph as my son-in-law. Nearly there.
That's great, thank you. So if this does happen in your family, try and remember that it always is possible to come to terms with it in the end. Thank you. See you next week. Good night.